Welcome to this week's Winners on a Wednesday. Russell Leeds here, and I'm joined by the amazing Omar. Absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We've just been having a chat. You've got a very, very interesting story, which I've had the pleasure of sort of seeing unfurl over the last 12 months or so.
Yeah.
So why don't we start at the beginning? Before you met Samuel, came on the crash course. Tell us a little bit about what your life was like.
Yeah, so basically I worked for Lloyds Bank for about a good 10 years. So I was based in an office. I started off in shares, and then from there I went into commercial banking. Yeah, so that was interesting because for about 3 years I was dealing with actual property investors. I was dealing with their bank accounts. So I kind of had a gist of the property side of it, but just from listening and to other people.
So working in Lloyds, were you kind of a bit jealous? Yeah?
Definitely, yeah, because we worked in SME, so it was anything up to 25 mil turnover a year. So these people had a lot of properties. They were developers. They had like 500 or 600 property portfolios. So they were really big investors. So I was obviously jealous because, in the sense that they're doing so well, and I've got no idea how to get in there. I didn't have the money to do what they were doing.
Yeah.
So I just kind of sat back and watched and thought, I was amazed by what these people were doing.
But in some ways, I remember you saying to me before that in some ways, looking at how big it was, it felt unachievable to you at this stage. Investing in property felt like something that had to be massive, that you had to have lots of money to get started in. Is that correct?
100%, yeah. From my point of view, yeah, because I was looking at these kind of people, so I was thinking, they've got millions of pounds, and I'm never going to get there. Even just to buy one house, a decent house to rent out, you'd need a lot of money, which at the time, I used to love spending. So everything that came in and went out. So. Yeah. I'd never had the money to invest in property. That's why I never thought I'd ever be able to get into it.
Yeah. Now you had a pretty good job.
Yeah.
You had a pretty you're married. You got a pretty nice life.
Yeah.
So what was it in you that made you think, I want to get into property? What was wrong with what you sort of had?
Yeah, I enjoyed what I did, definitely. It was interesting, every day was different, but I just knew it wasn't long term. I couldn't do it for the rest of my life. I didn't want to retire still working behind a desk. So I knew I wanted to do something, but I was out there finding stuff. So I was always on YouTube trying to find out different things to do, be it Amazon, eBay, whatever it was. But it didn't appeal to me, so I just sat back and just, went with it. And it was just one day where I had a recommendation. It said Samuel Leeds, property investor. It was like a 57-minute video, and it's probably the only video that I watched till the beginning to the end. That was that long, and for me, it was that one video that changed my whole perspective on property. What I've been taught through Lloyds, who I was working for at the time.
Yeah. So you kind of keen to get out of the job.
Yeah.
You mentioned Amazon. Did you set up an Amazon business?
Kind of. I set up an account.
Okay.
And that was about it. But you watch some videos and say, yeah, it was really good. Amazon's really good. FBA is amazing. Do it. You can make 50, 60, 70,000 pounds a month. I thought, great. And then you watch another video and it's like, well, it's not as easy as they say. There was always one video that would say yes and one video that would say no. So I just didn't take the risk.
Yeah.
So I'd always just check different things out. Amazon was an example that was.
But you were looking for different. Obviously you came across property with Samuel, but you were looking for different ways to get out of the office job. Why do you think that you couldn't see yourself doing it? Because in many ways you had a great life. It wasn't like you were struggling. Why did you feel that wasn't for you? What was wrong with that life?
I just wanted that independence, that I could do what I wanted to do. Like a lot of the times when you're working in an office space, so it's really busy as well, you're kind of restricted, so you have to, like, let's say for example, I was talking to you about this before about holidays. Let's say you wanted to go away or you needed a day off, let's say, to go somewhere. It was really hard because the office was so busy, it's hard to get time off. That the restriction, I didn't like that. For example, the pay as well. The pay was okay, it was good. It was achievable. You could do what you wanted to do, but for you to go progress anywhere, you had to really, really push, and everyone else was pushing at the same time, and it was just like a loophole, like where I was just like a rat race, if you want to call it, where I was I wasn't getting anywhere, and I didn't feel the motivation to go any further in what I was doing.
So, are there any particular moments that stick out in your head about things that because you kind of mentioned that you felt like sort of trapped in the office job? Anything that happened that you missed out on that made you think, right, that's it now? Was there any defining moment where you thought enough's enough?
Yeah, again, it might sound really petty, but it came down to having time off. Like, I was there 5 days a week, and it was just one day, like, the way they said it to me was, you know, this is business needs, obviously businesses always come first, I know that, but you know, holidays are not there, you can't just take time off whenever you want to. I was getting talked to as if I was like nothing, if you know what I mean, like I was low in the company, and you know, you don't really matter that much. And basically it was just that one moment, this one episode that happened, that you get, basically they were saying that what we were saying is how it stays, you have no say. So I felt like I was just trapped there. I was like I was in prison. Like I've got to do what I do, go there 9 till 5, absolutely, you know, go crazy and no time to do anything else. It was very, very busy. It was a really stressful environment in that sense, but rewarding. So from there onwards, I thought, you know what, I need to get out of this. I need to get out of this. Yeah.
Yeah. So you came across Samuel's video on YouTube.
Yep.
First video you watched all the way through.
Yep.
And what action did you take after that? Did you then sign up for the crash course?
No. From there, I heard about his book. So I went into Amazon straight away that same night, ordered his Buy Low Rent High. Yeah. Bought the book, and again, I don't read books. The last time I read the book was in school, and that was through force. So I was amazed, and so was my wife at the time, that I read this book like in the same night that I actually got it. I read it from the beginning to the end, and I was amazed all the way through. So I was like, my God, I've been told all this time that you need money to invest in property. And this guy's saying, no, you don't. Or you need very little money to invest, you know, be it through rent to rent or rent to SA, or lease options even. So I thought, hang on a minute, this guy, you know, I know he's doing something right here, definitely. So in the book he mentions about his free 2-day crash course. So funnily enough, I think in about 3 weeks' time, there was one in Manchester, which is close to me.
Yeah.
So booked on that. Went on that crash course, and by the end of the 2 days I was sold. I was like, you know what, I can do this, definitely. I knew I needed the push, because I was saying to you before that I'm that kind of person that procrastinate a lot. I was a very lazy person. So I'd say I'd do something, like there'd be this spark, and then the next day I'd be like, nah, I can't do that. So I knew I needed the extra push. So on the crash course, I was very happy with it. I could have continued with that if I wanted to, but I knew I wanted to go a bit further. I wanted to go into service accommodation. Eventually I wanted to go into buy, refurbish, refinance in the end. So I knew I needed the advanced training.
Yeah.
So signed up for the advanced training, did that. And then from there onwards, I joined the academy actually at the same time on the crash course. So basically I did everything in the crash course.
Yeah.
I thought, I need to do this. I need the support. I need someone to mentor me. I need someone to push me. And if I make this investment, I'm going to get the knowledge to do it for the rest of my life. But at the same time, I know I have to do it.
Yeah.
I've made that big commitment, so I have to do it no matter what.
Yeah. Well, you've kind of pointed out something that everyone does, but the fact that you which is procrastinate.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that. They're very excited about something, and then that wanes, you know, and then they get less interested when it starts getting tough or getting hard.
True.
But the fact that you kind of realised that, and then you took the appropriate action to make sure that didn't happen. Because I mean, the academy is great for the training, but a lot of it is the mindset and the environment as well.
Yeah, 100%.
The people that you're around, people that push you, bring you up, the coach that you have the phone calls with.
Yeah.
So did you find that particularly helpful?
Definitely. As much as the training side of it was important, that side was more important to me. Seeing other people do it, or you know, just putting a post out there on Facebook or WhatsApp, whatever, and then for them to come back instantly and say, this is what you need to do, get the answers, get the motivation. Actually seeing other people do it that were in my situation. That was the push that I needed, and for someone just to say you can do it, and everyone says that on the academy or in the groups, wherever they are, everyone just was so good, and you know, even though no one knew me, it felt like we were a family, and everyone looked after each other. So that really did definitely help me.
Awesome. So you came along to the crash course. And then you went to join the academy. When did you join the academy?
So I wasn't able to join the academy until it was September when I had my one-to-one with
September 2018.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So what happened for you to get your first deal? How long did that take?
So basically from the crash course, I wanted to take action. So I wanted to basically buy my first property, HMO. So I started that from the crash course. But from there onwards, up until when I had my one-to-one with Samuel, I was struggling a lot to get a mortgage, just because I was getting the wrong type of mortgage. I only found that out until...
And then literally, bang, you changed mortgage broker,
Yeah.
Mortgage came straight in, sorted.
Well, yeah, I mean, my one-to-one was great, it was amazing, but that one little moment where Sammy was like, what's the problem? I told him what it was, and he goes, put the phone
this
up.
mortgage broker.
Yeah, and that was it. Literally, within 3 weeks from there, the house was complete, it was mine.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So, it was just incredible.
So that is a 4-bed multi-let?
Yeah.
And where's that?
That's in Crewe.
That's in Crewe. Okay, so it's not too far away from where... Well,
it's
about an hour.
It's quite far. Yeah, it's quite far in that sense. But at the time I spoke to someone at the crash course, and they were saying at the time that it was a good area to invest in.
I think Crewe is a good area.
HS2, that kind of stuff. So I thought, okay, that's fine, and I just went with it.
And how long did that take to rent out?
It took a bit of time at the beginning because that was one of the mistakes that I made at the beginning, which I didn't mind making, was that. It's about an hour, just over an hour drive for me to get there. So because I was working at the time, I was having to do it like every weekend. So it took me a long time to get it up and running, to get it to the standard, like get the fire alarms and all that kind of stuff. But once it was on the market, I had it fully occupied within about 4 weeks.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And is that making you decent returns now?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Did you buy that with your own money?
That was, yeah. So basically, the good thing, the thing I was blessed with is that I know family and friends that have money. So basically, I was able to get the deposit for that and basically buy that with it's my own money now because we paid them back from that. But yeah, basically that's my house now. It's in literally my name.
So you borrowed the money. You got started straight, borrowed the money, and then you've used the money that you're making from it to pay them back.
Yeah.
So that's what we call an infinite return on investment.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and that's what I do with everything. I'm really lucky in that sense that I've got family and friends. That's one thing that I heard a lot in the crash course or in the academies, that tell everyone what you do. Yeah. And I hated doing that. I'm the kind of person that likes to hide everything. So I was like, yeah, what do you do? I've left the bank. And they're like, what do you do now then? I invest in property. Oh, do you? And then when they heard that I had one HMO, I had a few essays at the time then as well. They were like, oh, we've got some money, do you want to invest? And I was like,
brilliant.
And I was literally talking to random people, what do you do? And the funny story was I was at a shop once and got talking to this guy there, I haven't told you this. And he goes, oh, what do you do? And I told him that I invest in property, I've got some service accommodation. And straight away he goes, do you do Airbnb and that kind of stuff? I go, yeah, we use that platform. He goes, I used to be a super host for Airbnb and I did a lot of apartments. And he goes, I'm looking for something to get into, I want a partner. And he's got literally loads of money lying around waiting to invest in service accommodation. So that's one joint venture that's going to happen just from me telling him what I do. And that happens everywhere. Yeah.
Shows the power of announcing what you're going to do and everything as well.
Yeah.
Getting people around you, having a vision.
Yeah, definitely.
So get your story straight then. So you started the crash course, you then decided to join the academy, you started the process going for a HMO.
Yep.
You sat down with Samuel, he helped you get your HMO sorted.
Yep.
That was your first deal. At what point did you leave your job at the bank?
So I left the bank, it was literally, I think it was around October.
So about a month after joining the academy?
Yeah.
Okay, and at that time, did you only have the one deal?
At that time I had the one deal that was making me money, which was the HMO, but I also just secured my first service accommodation.
Brilliant.
In Birmingham.
Yeah.
And it was a really good location I got. It was a really good deal that I got as well. This was just from doing viewings like in one day, and out of like 10 viewings I got one that said yes, and it was a really good location. And because I knew that was going to make me really good money, even at the time it wasn't, I took that kind of leap of faith. I thought, you know what, I'm working 5 days a week in the bank and I haven't got time. I was getting phone calls from estate agents during the day. Yeah. But we had a strict policies that because we got sensitive information around us, our phones had to be locked away. So I was missing out on these deals. I was missing out on estate agents and solicitors ringing me. I thought, I can't do this. Yeah. I tried as much as I could. I got to the point I thought, I can't do this, I'm missing out. So I took the leap of faith and I just thought, I need to leave my job.
That's quite a big call, isn't it?
It was massive for me, yeah.
A lot of people ask that question. It's a very big question to ask. I've chatted to Alistair about it on the podcast recently. I don't know if you heard.
I did, yeah.
At what point do you make that call? So I suppose you made it, you had some money coming in. How much money did you make from your HMO?
Profit average is around 700 a month.
Okay, so you've got a bit of money coming in, so you know that the system works.
Yeah.
And at that point you're like, okay, I can commit to leaving my job now because I know that if I've got time, I can continue to do this and I will make money and I will become financially free.
Yeah.
Which you now are.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah,
so, so how much money? How many deals do you have right now?
At the moment that I'm making money, I have 5 altogether.
5 deals, and you're making how much money?
An average about 4,000 a month.
About 4,000 a month.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
What was your? How much money were you making at the bank, if you don't mind me asking?
Yes. Okay. Yearly salary there was 21,000.
21,000.
Yeah.
That's not very much, is it?
No, that's the thing. You see, people just think, oh, you work at the bank, and you know, they just think straight away, oh, you must be making a lot of money. They used to always think that I had a lot of money, but it wasn't the case. You know, I was on 21,000 a year. So,
wow. Okay, so you're making far more money now than you were then.
Yeah, basically, what my income was replaced from, I'd say about 1.5 service accommodations. So just from the service accommodation side, I make more money from that than I did when I was working in the office. And they're all managed as well. And I don't manage them myself. I'm using a manager to manage those service accommodations, and they're still making me more money than I was when I was working in the bank.
So you've more than doubled your income.
Yeah.
And you're working far less hours than you were.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, before. That's incredible. So what are the plans? What are the plans for the future now moving forward? You're making $4,500 a month. Mm-hmm. That's sort of ticking over.
Yeah.
But so I imagine you're keen to get your teeth into some new projects.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got another service accommodation project coming up. That's basically two apartments. So I want to kind of complete that first. And then from there, my kind of final stage, not final stage, but my end role was basically to buy houses, then get them refurbished, to refinance them, and then to rent them. So the BRRR, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
That was my ultimate goal. So basically to have the cash flow to basically be able to go and do that. So I basically want to just go out, and that way I'm kind of, I'm owning the assets myself. Yeah. Which is what I really wanted to do. I knew, for long term, that was the plan.
You want to own the assets?
Yeah, I want to own the asset, at the same time make a passive income from it each month.
Yeah.
So that's the next step now. So luckily for me, I've got a really good friend of mine, he's like my best friend, and he's a builder. So he's agreed that a lot of the projects that I'm going to do, he's going to help me with them. Yeah. Which is going to help me a lot. So that's the ultimate goal. So just kind of rinse and repeat. So do one, make money from that.
Put your money in, pull your money out, do it again.
Just keep doing it and hopefully get bigger. So keep getting bigger projects, bigger bills, like big, I don't know, hotels, that kind of stuff in the end. Yeah. I want to go bigger in the future, but for the time being, it's going to be buying the houses actually now.
One of the things I've kind of noticed from your story is you seem to be good at getting good people around you.
Yeah.
People that lend you money, people that help you with the building, people that help you with that. How have you managed to do that? Are there any tips people that are watching that maybe feel a bit isolated, maybe have family that maybe don't support them? So a lot of people have family that when they want to get into property or anything, that they try and hold them back, or would say to them, no, don't be stupid, stay in your job. Yeah. What would you say was a tip to get people around you and supporting you and helping you?
For me personally, what I did was, before that I was kind of trustworthy in the sense that people trusted me. They knew I was, they knew I was a nice guy. I don't want to blow me out and trumpet here, but they knew I was all right. I was a nice guy and everything. Yeah. And it was just telling them what I was doing, explaining to them. I think if you go straight away and say, look, I'm going to buy a house, I want to rent it out, have you got any money? That would never work. For me, the key was not asking them directly for money, number one. And number two, it was basically explaining to them what the project was. So for example, I would say to the person, what do you do? I'm a property investor. I've got these service accommodations coming up. It's cost me this much money. It's only cost me 4,000. I've got it set up, and now it's making me X amount of money each month. And when they hear that story, that what I did personally, when they see you for yourself that you're doing this and it works, they'd automatically say, well, hang on a minute, I've got some money to the side, do you want to use my money? And I was like, that's how it works for me. Yeah. So people are actually willing to give them money once they hear that your story or your kind of projects are working, and this is how much money it's working. You have to be honest to them. I told them, look, it's not all, it's not all fantasy land where everything just works and the money comes in from day one. There are struggles at the beginning, there are ups and downs of it, but eventually when you put the work in, you get the money out. So for me, it was just like saying, being honest, telling them what you do, explaining it, and if they've got the money, they'll definitely say to you, look, here, I've got some money. Do you want to go as a joint venture, or do you want to invest it for me and then just give me X return? And I'll be like, that's fine with me.
Yeah. You also mentioned that you're a nice guy. Yeah. So would you say maybe you support other people in there, and then as a result, if you go around supporting people and encouraging people and building people up, maybe they're going to want to do the same.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So before property, anyway, like this is my mom used to say, "Oh, this is my downfall." But I used to always put other people in front of me, so I'd always want to like help them. I get pleasure in helping them, whatever it was, being small or big problems, whatever it was. I'd always want to help someone else out. And then I think that just kind of came around. So people obviously, when they heard that I was doing properties and they're still finding out, they want to help. Like,
well, they're gonna know now.
Yeah, true. Yeah, yeah, hopefully, yeah. So yeah, it's just being nice obviously helps, but I think being honest is more important and be realistic.
Yeah.
By saying that, oh yeah, I've got, I bought a house and it's making me £5,000 a month, that one house it's not realistic. To be realistic with your figures and you explain to them what you're doing.
So they trust you?
Yeah, they trust you, but I think it's like you got to put yourself into their shoes. If you had, let's say, £5,000, £10,000, are you going to want to give your money to them? Do you trust them enough for it? But then when they see you're actually doing it yourself, it's much easier for them to say, here you go, here's £5,000, here's 10,000, whatever it is, and we're happy to invest with you or invest on our behalf.
Brilliant. What would you say was the biggest struggle that you've had in the journey? Because you're obviously upbeat, kind of guy, which is great. But what would you say was the biggest struggle you've had to overcome?
The biggest struggle for me personally was, I originally thought it would be the side of me that basically doubts myself and think it's not going to work. The mental side of it. Which it did happen a little bit at the beginning, but that only happened. The biggest struggle for me was actually a lot of the properties that I attained in the beginning. I'd say I went into them kind of just like thinking, what, I'll just do it, and whatever happens, happens. A lot of people, after the training, that's when I realized actually, you need to do your research, sit down, do this, do that. So the first two properties that I got, there was problems with them. Like at the beginning with the service accommodation, I didn't know about negotiating for trying to get no deposits, going through the deposit replacement insurance, trying to get 1 month free rent so you can do the property up. I didn't know anything like that. Or if I did, I basically didn't hear it. So I kind of like stung myself in the beginning where I was paying a lot of the rent out of my own pocket at the beginning. That was the biggest struggle. But once I'd learned that, I thought, hang on a minute, one little course I had on essays or service accommodation with yourselves, I realised, hang on a minute, there's other ways that you can save money. So for me, it was at the beginning, it stung me, and it took me time to get the first two projects set up. And it was just costing me money, and that really...
Did you start that before you went on the service accommodation training with
I did, yeah.
Okay.
So I wasn't aware of it, basically, the little tips and tricks that you teach.
And then you went on the training and sorted it out?
Yeah, I went on the training and I was like... but I was glad I did, obviously. I was making lots of notes, and I thought, okay. So then the next two service accommodations that I got after that, they were no deposits, and they were asking for like £1,000, £1,200 deposits, and I introduced them to the insurance scheme, and they were like, okay, that's fine, we'll do that. So it was just saving me money in the beginning, and I was more prepared to, like, as soon as I get the keys, that's it. I need to go in there straight away. I need to furnish it. I need to get the photography straight away. I need to get it on the booking platform straight away. Don't waste time, which is what I was doing before.
And then if you're wasting time in the early stages, you're just paying the rent on you and not getting any returns.
Exactly.
Okay. One of the problems with being a positive person, I suppose, there's not many because it's far better. But sometimes that you do go into stuff and you just assume it'll be all right. It'll be fine. I'll sort it out. Which is a good attitude to have in ways, but like you say, it is important you do your due diligence and you do learn, you make sure you're doing it the correct way.
100%,
So that's one of my sometimes problems is that I assume, it's going to be fine.
That's my biggest problem,
So what would you say was the biggest tip then? Biggest tip that you could give to anyone watching this? Someone that's in your shoes, someone that's got a decent job, but they want to get out of it and they don't know how to do that or what to do. Any big tips for them or any advice?
I give this advice on a daily basis. Still from all colleagues from when I used to work with. I actually got one colleague to come onto the crash course, and she's doing really well. But my tip would just be that anyone can do it. If I can do it, I never ever thought I'd be able to do it in a million years. I never thought myself as a property investor ever. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. So the first step would be, based on my experiences, definitely just get online first and have a few, hours or whatever you want to do. Look at some videos of Samuel Leeds, because that's what changed it for me. Get the book, read it, get some understanding, but most importantly, just get on the crash course.
And just believe that you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's free. What you got to waste? It's just 2 days. You know, it's a free 2-day course, and that'll be enough for you to realize, hang on a minute, I can do this. And that's the biggest thing, is the knowledge that you can do it, the confidence which he gives you. So I would say to them, just get out there, get on the crash course. It's free, and then just take it from there.
Yeah. So just believe you can do it, and just get out there and start taking some action.
You have to. You can't be negative about it, otherwise it's not going to work.
Have you always sort of believed in yourself like that, or is that something you've learned recently?
No, I've never believed in myself like that. No. It's just something that I've basically, now that it's happened and it's worked, and the kind of environment of people that I've been around, you know, positive people like yourself, like Samuel, people in the academy, the groups, just seeing them being so positive, just stepping back and watching them, it's basically built up my confidence in the property side of it.
Yeah.
It's just the knowledge.
Yeah. So that belief that you've now got in yourself, how are you going to use that in the next year or so? What can we expect to see from Omar?
Yeah, in the next year or so, you'll definitely be able to see me buying more properties, definitely. So doing a lot more projects, refurbish, refinance projects, and then just kind of getting out of my bubble as well, because at the moment I'm very quiet, like on social media or that kind of stuff. I don't like to, you know, get out there and say this is what I'm doing to everyone, because just this is how I am. So the two things is that you'll be, definitely be able to see more projects in the sense of buying and refurbishing houses, and just getting myself just a bit more out there, so more people can approach me and say, you know what, we've got some money. Do you want to, invest it for us? And I'll be like, yeah, that's fine.
And what's your goal? What are you hoping to achieve over the next few years?
The goal is, I mean, I might be optimistic, but my goal was that. Is that basically I wanted to obviously retire young, so I wanted to build a portfolio of properties where it's making enough passive income for me. I've got properties there, and if my children can benefit from it, so be it the next 10 years, 20 years, I want to basically just kind of reduce what I'm doing and then spend more time with family and just enjoy the money, really.
Yeah.
But having that kind of safe for that in the future, I've got these properties that are in my name.
Yeah.
I can help out my family if I need to, which I'm already doing now at the moment. So the future is just building the portfolio.
Amazing. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, Omar, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
I hope that there are people out there that are maybe stuck in because you haven't come from a terrible position. You had a decent job. You were getting by. Sometimes we get people on here who are depressed or they need that. So you haven't had that.
No.
You're just a normal person from a normal area having a normal job.
Yeah.
Just thought, you know what? I'm not going to settle for normal.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to become financially free. And you've already, in just a few months, doubled your income. So you've done absolutely amazing. Well, hopefully you'll be a big inspiration for people out watching. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for watching the video. That is the reason why I'm doing this. Your success is my oxygen. Every single week we've got people becoming financially free. If you'd like to see more success students, you can do that right here. But what I'd really suggest is, why don't you come and join us at the Property Investors Crash Course. Come along, my guest, completely free, and I'll personally be there for 2 days to help you get started. You can see what happens right here. What you'll notice is all of these stories, they all start at the Crash Course. So come along, my guest, can't wait to see you there. Peace out.